Hello. There's always that like delay that I'm because sometimes I start talking too soon, and then when I watch the re-recording, there's like this gap space where I've already said hello, but it hasn't recorded. Versus, anyways, time and electronics, both quantum in my field. So hello. I'm Hilary Raven Porter. I'm a Tamiana Starseed Oracle and a Sacred Grid Weaver, and I help people step over that threshold into that space that they've forgotten of themselves. That space that they've been longing for and that they've missed for so long. Um, but they can't remember how to get back, right? So, yeah, I help them find that way. I help guide them. I witness their journey. I help be like, this is the path, and help them find the path, not just show them the path, right? So today, hello, welcome to welcome to winter solstice. What? How did we get here? Oh my goodness. So last time I blinked, it was, and I think I say this every single time, but that's because time is so quantum that it was like, oh, beginning of December, we've got lots of time till 2022. Now it's the 21st. So today, what are we going to do? We are going to pull some cards. We're going to see what the sisters have to say if they choose to come in and say hello. Which they're laughing at me because they're like, what do you mean if we choose to come in? We're already here, right? Which is so entertaining for me because I'm always just like, maybe they don't want to talk today, right? Yeah, I don't even know why I said that. So welcome. Today I also noticed, so 21, 12, 21, right? What? 2, 1, 2, 1. Oh, I didn't even look that up. Oh my goodness. So I did the math, and it's 9. What is 9? End of a cycle. So the book that I often use is Messages and Numbers. One sec. Oh! Hi. Welcome back. You're precariously upon a ledge here in my very, very technical setup of crystals and books. So this is one of the books that we use. Messages and the Numbers by Alana Fairchild. And then there's another one. I'm not going to reach for it because I want you to stay upright. But it's Esoteric Meaning of Key Numbers by Dr. Mikyu Sankey. And he's amazing. He's the one that created esoteric acupuncture, so sacred geometry on the body. So, went on 2. I'm gonna, maybe, should I? No? Okay, let's just leave that for now. So 9, though, end of a cycle, right? End of a cycle. What? What's going on? 1, so the total of 12, 21, 21 is 9, right? End of a cycle. But then we have all these, we have all these ones in there, which is the beginning of a cycle. Crazy. And we're at the end of the fall and we're at the beginning of the winter, but we're also at this massive point. And I dislike that a lot of the videos end up going here, but this is the reality right now. And this is what we're living in, and this is what we're like wading through, this quagmire of absolute disgustingness that is happening within the governmental structures. And in this like separation of unity. So there's this end cycle, there's this change that is imminent. And then there's this unity. One means one, but one also means one. Which is represented by the 2. Which is us working together. Who cares what other people think? But I'm going to clarify on that. So for example, in the spirit room, which is where I am right now, which is where I hold space and I hold witness for people, I don't care what your views are. And what I mean by that is I don't judge you. I'm like, hey, does going and doing this thing, I'm not going to name this thing, help you feel safe? Then do that thing. Right? But how many times do we walk down the street now and somebody's like, oh, it's a human being? Not healthy. And our children, oh my God. The anxiety and the mental challenges that are happening in our children are absolutely disgusting. So apparently we're starting off this video with some very intense opinions and topics because this is our reality. So the end of a cycle, we know, happy solstice to you too. We're at the end of this cycle of shifting that's happening, but what's going to happen next? But as the collective, there's still all this unknown. So when I say my, I mean the Seven SiStars. It's fun. So as I look in the camera, they're like all back here, just like curved and standing and just like power. And they want to remind you to stand in your power. Your power that does not hurt somebody else. If actions and words are meant to harm and maim another person, intentionally harm and maim another person, there's enough going on out there right now. We need that one of unity, of that sovereign being, of not being told what we can and cannot do. We need the one of unity to stand together for choice. So we're at this doorway to a new beginning, at this new chapter, because beginning doesn't always mean things just fall away. It means that threshold, we've stepped over it into something new. The 9 also represents that as we step over, we must release to be able to receive something new. So this is, again, we're speaking galactically as a collective, and we're also speaking as your sovereign galactic being, okay? So we must step over this threshold to receive, to let go and to receive, to surrender to what the divine is like, here you go. Yeah? But what is your heart? What feels like truth to you? What is your heart to you? And what do you desire next? So, regardless of everything that's happening in the world, you still have the capacity to do what you feel is next. Yes, there's some restrictions on if you're a traveler and you travel all the time and you fall within one type of paradigm, then figure out other ways to travel. This is a time to really look and go, this is something that I love doing. Why do I love doing it? What does it bring out in me? What does it instill? How does it make my heart feel happy? What about it feeds my heart? What flavors make my heart go, oh, this is so tasty? Now, how can you access that sameness with other things? If you can't access the things that have always fed that, or that you've gone to, because we're creatures of habit, we're creatures of pattern. That's the other thing, change. The end and the beginning is change. Habits fall away. New habits are formed. But that doesn't mean it's simple. It doesn't mean it's easy. It doesn't mean it's like, oh, that was so lovely. Often, thanks for that experience when there's big changes, even small changes. Because whose definition of big, right? A big change to you could be a small change to me and vice versa. But then we get to this other end, this other side of things, and we look back and we go, oh yeah, that was meant to happen. And it sucked, and it was challenging, and it was hard. But oh, it's so much better now. The key in that is you still holding a sense of your own personal power and identity, even if you lose your identity. Even if you lose what you've always thought of as yourself, there's still this this core, solar plexus, central solar sun. There's still this, regardless if all this facade falls away. So keep this lit up, breathing, focused intent, even just doing this, I'm like, I feel just like expanding. I was going to say challenge you. that's not the word I meant. I totally support you in trying this, just like this or this. My favorite is like this. I mean triangles. Now there's to charge your hands up. Atuto shakaya ni. See it. Hold your hands so they're not touching. See, they're a little bit apart, like all the way, not quite touching. You can also do flatter. I like the curve because it's like a little ball. And you charge it up. Yeah. And once you feel it, you can expand it. And if you go too far, or if you go far to a point where you can't feel it, not too far, but you can't feel it, go back and go a little bit slower, right? And then you take this ball of energy, whew, strong in there, and then you go, and you put it right in your solar plexus. And then you can sit there and keep charging it, right? Whatever that looks like for you. Again, I'm not actually pushing. I find the current when there's this like gap space, it's like a static electricity, right? Or the atutupushakai, those balls that like do the little current, right? I love this thing and some messages in the numbers. They said the number 9 is a notice of delivery from the cosmic post office, right? They're like, hello, we're here. Hi. Hello? And if you don't answer, they're like, hello? And then they knock louder and louder and louder. And we may have experienced this. Many people have experienced this when it comes to being shown these messages, not listening, not listening, not listening, until something intense happens. A car accident, an illness, a massive change in their life that wasn't expected. And that's the divine really like, being like, hey, I've got this package for you and you weren't listening, so I'm bursting down your door. I'm barging it in, right? Because this is an interruption into, again, our habits and our processes that we've become accustomed to and comfortable in. But that don't always serve us. Okay? Change is difficult. It can be difficult. It doesn't have to be difficult. But there's often this, even if it's tiny, there's this little like, oh, it's different. And we have to process and be like, oh, this is the new reality. It makes me think of, so I'm doing vision therapy. Massive car accident over a decade ago, and these don't communicate with this so well, right? And so wearing these glasses, see things differently. So I have these glasses and they shift them and exercise with them, and it's how you see things. And literally you're like, oh, I had no idea that I was seeing this thing or moving in this way thinking that it was the right, but that was because of the messages of what our eyes were sending our brain. But the messages weren't clear. Well, when we get clearer on our own messages, we see them, we move forward. We see them clearly, not because of what we desire to see. Desire and need are different, but it's what we actually need to see, which is sometimes difficult and uncomfortable. Okay. Another layer, before we get into the cards, is if this is the time, if you've been feeling the purge, the cleanse, the release, the like, I don't want this stuff on the practical level. So we're talking 3D now. So if you like opened your closet door and you're like, oh God, throw that out, get rid of that, donate that. I know somebody who could use this, right? Do it. Now is the time, right? Are there relationships that you've been kind of holding on to because compassionately release those? Any items, right? Things, which is interesting that when I read this, because I was like, the last few days I've been like, oh, what am I doing with this? And this needs to go, and I'm donating this. And a tip is if there's something that you're like, I really don't use this, I really don't want it anymore, but I need to release it. Like I feel this, like I want to get rid of it, but it's just, there's this attachment. Maybe it's the way that you're thinking of releasing it. So if you're like, oh, I'll just throw this out. Maybe that doesn't feel right. Maybe it's something. So recently I burned a whole bunch of pictures from high school, from art, like they were all art, like things I painted. And I was just like, nope, I don't need to have these anymore. But I didn't want to just throw them in the garbage because it didn't feel like I was honoring what they meant to me. But at the same time, they also didn't need to hang around, right? So I transmuted them. It's not I transmuted them with flame. So they went up in flames. Transmuting them had a little ceremony. That felt like the respectful thing to do for them. Maybe you have an item and you're like, well, I don't want to dispose of it. I don't want to just donate it. So we've got disposing, we've got so garbage, donating. You're like, but I want it to go to somebody that I know it'll probably be meaningful for. Find that person. right? Give yourself a timeline. So if you're like, oh, if it's in a month I don't know if somebody, then figure something out. Donate it or even post it so that you know who it's going to, like on the many posting sites online. And then there's the transmuting it, right? There's the burying it, burying it, right? There's putting it in the water, like attaching it to something to go out into sea or into the lake or to sink down. Obviously, watch what it is that you're disposing of as to if there's any chemicals and stuff on it. And then there's flames, right? So flames, water, earth. Yeah. Okay. So let's pull a card for the collective first. And if you're on, you're obviously hearing this. Let me know if you'd like a card pulled for you as well. So usually I do the Tao, but today three decks actually came out. So we have the animal spirits, Starseed Oracle, and then we do have the Tao as well. What's interesting, when I touch this one, they're saying this is too dark. So this deck isn't necessarily dark, like dark magic or anything like that, but this is the thicker, denser realm. So often when I do a 3-card pull, I pull what is the situation now? How can we support? That's what they want to do. So we're going to do 3-card pull, and I'll just show you in real time. The first card we're going to pull is what's now? What's the situation now? Always go back to your heart. The guides are just like the Seven SiStars. I'm like, oh, the guides. Where's the guides? I'm like, they're the Seven SiStars. So the sisters, just like go back to your heart. If you don't know what your heart is saying, sit longer. Listen longer. If you still know what it's saying, sit longer. The further we are disconnected from our heart, or the longer we've been disconnected from our heart, the longer it's going to take to get back. It's the same thing when I work with people with physical, like 3D stuff that's happening. If they're like, oh yeah, I've had this since I was 10 and they're now 40, it's going to take a lot longer than somebody that says, oh, I've only had this for a couple years. Because it's that habit in the cells of living in that way. Even though it doesn't serve you anymore, it doesn't matter. Your cells are like, no, this is what I'm used to doing. Right? Okay. So this is for the now. This is what's happening now. Lost spirit. Sometimes life stings. I don't think I really need to go into what we all know about that. There's a lot of shit going on right now. And now in this one, the thing is about the wasp medicine too. It stings. They're workers, right? And they know what they want. And when they get riled up, or when their boundaries are broken, when their boundaries are crossed, no thanks, I'm good, they say, and they will tell you that their boundary has been crossed, whether it's their home, their nest, whether it's they just come up and they're like, excuse me, no thank you, like I was sitting here, right? They know what they want. They're like, I want that food. Yeah, sometimes they're a little rude, and you're just like, no, this is my food, thanks. But they know what they want. They're not afraid to speak up for it. So, yes, this is the state of things right now. The world, stinging, all this stuff it's not pleasant. We're not going to sugarcoat this. It's not pleasant. There's so much. So it's stinging. Like, we love our cocoon in our space, in our house. We go out, but like we love our cocoon, and we come back and we're like, yeah, that's right. Right? And we pick and choose when we go out, very intentionally what we're doing when we go out. But this also represents your boundaries. What do you want? How do we get there? Well, not how do we get there. That's coming next. What are your boundaries? So get very, 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 very clear on your boundaries. What feels good to you, what doesn't feel good to you, what you want, what you don't want. What is your truth? Close off what you've been told is the truth and come back to that center space and be like, what is my truth? Okay, boundaries. So how do we support how do we support this? So 3-card pull. First card's what's going on now. Second card, so we got card, we got next card goes down my left. I guess that's, maybe you're right, I don't know. But down on the corner. That is how to support the shift or to support what's coming next. And if it's a card that's a challenge card, then it's like, what do you support in 3D realm to move out of this challenge point or to move through this challenge point? Because there's lessons in the challenge. You don't always want to be like, let's delete the challenge, right? We still want to work through it. We don't want to just stuff it. So 3D realm. So this is our like physical practice. This is our physical reality. This is what we're doing in the now for our body, for our mind, right? How we take care of our physical self, our home, all of that, okay? Physical, 3D. And what were we just talking about? Getting very clear and sticking with it and keep doing it. So even if you don't know what your clarity is, you don't know what your heart is needing, stop, listen. Still don't know? Listen some more. Okay. So this is limitation. I love these cards. If you haven't checked out, this is the Tao Oracle. I don't have the box here. Tao Oracle, Tao. Amazing, amazing artwork. Self-discipline practice. Introspection, connecting into your heart. Ritual. What is a ritual? Get this question. People come in like, well, what kind of rituals do you have? And they're like, what do you mean rituals? And it's the habits that you have throughout the day. So a ritual is even like brushing your teeth, right? Like, what do you do throughout the day? But then there's intentional rituals, not the just because rituals or I have to do these rituals, right? There's the, I want to focus. We're going back to the heart. Notice the theme here. What did Zephyrin say the other day? He goes, which one? There is one? Or, I don't know what they did. They did this like, oh, here, see, there's another heart. I don't know. Kids and their flexible fingers. But so there's these intentional rituals of sitting down and lighting that candle. I know it's like, seems, but the candle, focus in on that candle. You don't have to close your eyes. That can actually cause, if you have previous trauma, that can feel unsafe because you can't see what's coming around. So just gently focus on the flame. Have a piece of paper ready. Intentionally sit down and be like, okay, I'm going to ask my heart what it needs, and I'm going to start writing the list of what it needs. If nothing comes, I sit and I listen. I sit and I listen more. Something comes, I write it down. Nothing for a while, I sit and listen more. It can even just be a 5-minute session, but it's an intentional sitting. It's not just like, okay, I'm here. And then you're thinking about your grocery list, and then you're thinking about what you're going to do for dinner, and then you think about what you're going to wear tomorrow. No, you sit there and you go, hey, heart, how's it going? I have a question for you. What do you need? So many people in the spirit room recently, so many of the people that have been guiding, the hearts miss them. This is a theme. This is a microcosm of the macrocosm that's going on. Our hearts are crying out to be reconnected with, to be expressed, and to be full. Because what does fear do? We got a heart. That's like a tiny heart. We got a tiny heart. And it just gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. Right? The kidneys are all about fear, and the kidneys will then just like flood the heart until the heart fire is so diminished. And then the kidneys take over, and that's when we get the depression. That's when we get the sadness. That's when we get the sogginess in our body, often like dampness and phlegm and all of that, right? Because we don't have this fire. Because they work as a cosmological cycle. I was going to say cyclins. Anyways, words. Yeah. Okay, so we got this current state of things. The sting, also holding our boundaries. And what are our boundaries? What is your boundary? Nobody else's, yours. But how to support that in the earthly plane, in the 3D realm. That is through self-discipline. That is through practice, self-practice, right? Cultivating patience. This is the longest patience and waiting game ever. So during this time, let's use it. Let's use this time to really flesh out who you are. Because there's so much downtime. There's so much downtime. Downtime, there's so many meanings to that, right? There's so much time where we're not doing anything. Or being out and about, or being forced into this new space of like, okay, what is like the boundary of our outline? If we were to draw our outline, it's no longer fuzzy. And if it was fuzzy or is fuzzy, this is the time to really delineate. Be like, this is me. This is me. Yeah. I love when the cards do this. Okay, so the next card is is all about how to support this next shift. So finding these boundaries, and also these like restrictions, and finding your boundaries in your heart in the 5D, the spirit of the astral realms. Yeah. What were we just talking about? Delineation. So there's I'll tell you in a second. Okay. So this is right? Your life is a canvas. You make of it what you will. Artist, manifestation, creative accountability. So when I was talking about the outline, there's a silhouette that I have. You might have seen it in some of my other pictures, but there's a silhouette that I painted. Oh my goodness. I don't even know how long ago now, like 9 years ago, something like that. It's not quite done. That's how long some of my paintings take. Because it's just timing, right? You're like, this is when this needs to happen. Anyways, it's this outline with the stars in me. And there's this tool that I use with some of my clients when they don't know who they are, when they're just like, I don't know what I love. I don't know what I like. I do this, but I don't even know if I like it. It's a habit, right? So you take your body and trace it. Trace your body. Yeah, or get somebody else to trace it. Have that person over for tea and have some social time and trace your body. Big piece of paper or multiple pieces of paper taped together. I was going to say tied together. Who ties paper together? Anyways, taped together. Yeah. Outline of your body. You can do it yourself too. You know, you can lay down and draw it out and then stick it on your wall. Now, as you come across things that are really, Marie Kondo, spark joy in you. I mean, that's such a thing, though. It is like, is this a hell yes or no thanks, I'm good? If it's neither of those, if it's like, well, maybe, then two things need to happen. Either it's a no, and you just don't know still, or try it again. And be like, I'm going to try that again and see if I actually do like it. Because often, when we try something for the first time, we're like, I don't know. But we might actually really, really love it. It's just our habit and our past patterning, is like, no, don't change. We don't know what's on the other side of that. Maybe we don't like it. Try it a second time. But if it's like hell yeah, stick it in your silhouette. Draw it, paint it, write it. Maybe it's words. Maybe at the end of every day, you sit and you go, what did I absolutely love today? What was the thing today that just made me go, hell yeah? That made me be all like, I always feel like this little kid, and I'm like, right? If it makes me do that inside, it goes in the silhouette. Do you write the words? Like, so I love ice cream, especially Nora's. If you've ever had Nora's ice cream, oh yeah, dairy-free deliciousness. We found this new place in town called the Art of Slow Food. Not new, but they have a new storefront, and it's all gluten-free, sourdough, delicious. They had cinnamon buns that were so good and like fermented and just like felt good in the body. You didn't feel all gross and heavy afterwards, right? So I could write in there like Art of Slow Food cinnamon buns. Going for a walk in the sunshine. Like anything from food to experiences to people, like the kinds of people, to animals, to whatever you experienced that has brought you that like, yeah, I encourage you to do that. This is the perfect time. We're mid-cocoon, right? So the cocoon started Samhain or Pustashki, and it goes to Imbolc. So Samhain, Halloween, Imbolc, beginning of February. So now that the lights, we're like able to see through the gauze of this cocoon. And we're like, oh, there's light out there. Oh, okay. I guess it's time to reform. And if you've been doing the work, how you're going to reform is different. If you haven't been doing the work, then you're going to reform the same way. And then the same lessons are going to be learned. And then the same things are going to need to be worked through until the next cocoon space. Yeah. Okay. But our bodies and our beings are like, oh, we're almost there. And you can see the light and you're just like, oh, this is exciting. But can you imagine you've like turned to goo, thinking of the caterpillar here, and then all of a sudden you're like, how crazy is this? You turn to goo, and then all of a sudden you're like, and reforming, and it's like you go from a liquid to a semi-solid state. Kind of like if you think about how water would feel turning into ice. It's like, yeah, I'm free flow. And then it's this solid thing. And that's what's happening right now. So this is the perfect time to be like, what is coming out of that cocoon? The reason I keep pointing this way is because that's where my painting is. And I keep looking at it. So silhouette. Fill that silhouette with everything. Cut out pictures. Make it a collage. Make it multimedia. Maybe you paint. Maybe you cut things out. Maybe one day you have these amazing tears of joy and you take some of those tears and you put it in that silhouette. Yeah. Okay. So, pututupushka. So this, I'm asking the sisters, as this for the Venus retrograde. No, they say no. When I ask them up here, they're sometimes you have to vocalize things. So this is for the Setahushiko between here and the spring, right? Spring equinox, winter solstice, spring equinox. Okay. There's another deck. Give me 2 seconds. I'm going to grab this other deck. And this is going to be for the Venus retrograde. 40 days. And I got the book for this one because these guys, I don't know if you've seen these ones. Oh my goodness. Okay, so this is, let's just say we have a couple decks in this house. I stopped counting how many we have. This is the White Lake Oracle. A phenomenal deck. Okay, I'm not just talking imagery. And that's one of my things is I like the imagery and the write-ups to both be powerful. Because we get something from the write-ups. Yeah? We also get something from our own intuition when we see the visual of a card. So it's using all the sources, our source, the wisdom from them, and making it our own and really embodying both, right? So, as of this recent Sunday, Venus went retrograde, and it's for 40 days. So we're talking relationship cycles. And for some reason, and I'm still trying to train myself out of this, this is so culturally ingrained in me, and I encourage you to look within yourself too. Relationships. Every time I hear relationship, I know that there's like familiar relationship, there's friend relationship, there's relationship with self, there's romantic, there's all these. My brain automatically goes to romantic relationship because we're so taught that it's like that is like the be all and end all. And make sure that you have this romantic relationship, and that's what you're supposed to aim for, especially as female body and female presenting. And it's this thing, like, you know, grow up, get married, find that partner, have kids, even if it's not overtly like do it now, but it's like it's in everything. So relationships, all relationships. So notice these patterns that are coming up. What do we focus? Or what is going to be? Ooh, I haven't held. I was gonna say I haven't held this one before. Shaktipat of the seahorse. Which is interesting. Before we dive into the book, I do know seahorses. What happens? The male seahorse is the one that takes care of the young. So we're going to, for ease, say role reversal of the stereotype. Because we're still breaking down these stereotypes from like our parents' generations, right? you make your situation what you want of it, what feels right for you. Just because you're a human being, or let's say just because you're in a human body, not all of us are human beings fully through and through. Let's say, what feels right for you? You don't have to do what they tell us is what every human needs to do, right? It's different for everybody. Oh, Shaktipat. Okay, I was going to read this lovely little. These guys are like a couple pages long. Okay. So we're not going to read the whole thing, just a little bit. As you embrace your inner essence, you will be at peace with who you are, including your vulnerability, and no longer see the need to conform to social ideals, which have no true resonance for your heart. Say hello to your heart for me. Tell it I say hi. You are encouraged to trust your intuitive recognition of which environments and relationships harmonize well with you, supporting your spiritual growth and well-being on all levels. You have the innate capacity to manifest. Relax, and you shall attract all that you need. Where are you grasping? Where are you holding on to something so tight that it's time to release that? And where are you grasping when we think of something that we desire? It's like, yeah, but I wanted it so bad and I tried so hard and if there's this energy to it, how is that thing going to come in? So, reflections of each other. Solstice to equinox, and Venus retrograde, right? Because that would take us into February. Because 30, let's see, no. Because January is 31 days. And then 10 days. Yeah. So it's going to actually take us to like the end of January, which is just before Imbolc. So these like shifts, these relationships. What about the relationship with your heart? Oh, heart. Yeah. So, the sisters say, we've basically said, because a lot of times there's like, okay, let's now tune into them, but they've been interweaving themselves throughout the whole thing, and they kind of had their moment at the beginning. Let's just say they're very much about your own boundaries, your own truth, really standing up. That's how things are going to change. And coming from the heart with compassion. If as we're winding down here, if anybody would like a card pulled specifically for you. Oh, I did have a request. So as I'm pulling this card for this request from another being that could not make it, if you would like a card pulled, let me know. And if there's an intention for this card pulled, please let me know. But if not, I'll just pull a card for you. But just you can raise your hand, you can say hello, or you can just enjoy. This is the deck. Okay, so this is for Brandy. Atu can't be with us. I know she's gonna love this. So this is Beta of the Spirit Wolf. Like these images just, oh my goodness. So the beta of the spirit wolf. So what's the wolf? Lone wolf. There's alpha, but this is beta. So not quite the lead, but and sometimes and often more power is actually with the person that is next in line. English language is so lacking in how I wish to express these things. But there is like, you don't have to be the alpha. You don't have to be the top dog to actually have the capacity or the ability or the power to go forward. Right? To have the one that influences things. You don't have to be the one that's out there We know this. There's often a person behind that's the one that's actually has the strength and is the one that is making the choices and decisions. Beta of Spirit Wolf, give yourself enough rest. Only then will you be able to ground yourself enough to cultivate focus and motivation to fulfill your path. You'll find a way through any tricky situation as you tune into your instincts and trust your own timing. From times of change and uncertainty comes confidence, love, and resilience. Embrace transition. Commit to your tasks and stay focused, but be flexible in your approach. You have the skill to intuitively handle any issue. Intuition, connection to the heart. Herbal ally, spiritual love, plant spirit medicine to support that mind-heart connection, because that's often where the disconnect is. Right? It's like Fritz is out right about here. It gets blocked up. Tudoshaka Duma Reishi. Ganoderma lucidum. Batutuk the grandfather. Batutushaka. Yeah, he's here to listen and to support, to help you remember your heart. Add a little bit of rose in there. Oh, reishi and rose. Ooh, can you imagine elixir? A little bit of dairy or non-dairy beverage. Some reishi, and then a couple of rose petals, and a dash of vanilla. And then drink. Oh, that'd be so good. Ooh, and then some cardamom. Oh, I know what I'm doing after this. Okay. So much love to you guys. If you need me, I'm here. Please reach out. I still have some sessions I'm actually working all the way through to the end of December. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I got availability. If there's anything you need, let me know, okay? And next Tuesday is the next intuitive tune-in reading. And so that one is on Zoom. And you can check out the link in my bio and to connect in that way. And yeah, and then we can talk back and forth, and we do some more focused things. This next round, we're going to do some chanting, and some intuitive stuff as well. But yeah, we're going to do some chants. Okay, so much love and stardust to you guys. Welcome back to the light.